My friends, my fellow podcast enthusiasts, my Maddie Baddies. Welcome to another episode of The Madness Table. On this, we will endeavor to enrapture you in a story of glory, sacrifice, and the creeping insanity that comes along with the stresses of adventuring, and combating the ever-encroaching emphasis of the Demon Lords. And if that sounds like your kind of shindig, come on down to the Madness Table Discord. Jump on in there, have yourself a good time, and don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe everywhere we are, which is honestly most places on your phone, except your contacts. You cannot call me, but you can email me at themadnesstable@gmail.com. If you got a question for Will and the gang, you can put it right in there. And our next bonus action, we will be trying to answer it. Not only trying, we are legally obligated by the law that we have chosen. The law of the thin line between life and death. And if that is your kind of thing, come right on down to our coffee page, drop a coin, drop a review, or tell your best buddy that you like this podcast and they should try it too. But don't tell
Jesus!
Tough Knuckles. He knows what he did, and he can't be trusted. Well, that's all for me. Come on down, William. Show him how it's done.
You must be on like 5 watch lists
At least.
of just budding psychopaths.
I look forward to the day they try to catch me.
His FBI agent that watches him through his webcam is always horrified.
I was waiting for you to end that first bit where you're like, as we face these terrifying demon lords. I was waiting for these are their stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dun, dun.
Yeah.
Oh,
With
goodness.
that sound in mind, we turn to Brendan's incubus as he seductively approaches Demogorgon and his tentacles. Which, if you want to catch on how we got there, listen to the previous episode. So
That's how you get them.
Brendan,
Yeah.
you've clearly entertained one head. Are you going to entertain the other?
Damn.
Well, you know, if given the option for another head,
Oh my lord.
I must
For those of you that
apply.
don't know, Demogorgon has 2 actual heads. All right. Jesus, that was our X-rated version that you can catch on our OnlyFans.
And
in the
that's
link
why we
tree
click
in our
explicit.
Instagram. Yeah.
Fair.
So last time you guys ventured through the swamp, very briefly, getting us back to this camp of goblins that are on this crescent-shaped isle, where they have told you that essentially their village has been overrun by lizard men who were once servants of Delkvir, a black dragon who kind of ruled over the swamp. And they now seem to worship the River King. And this small group is just one of perhaps a handful, they're not really sure of their numbers, that are now trying to seek the help of perhaps one or more of these other denizens of the swamp. One being a giant-like hunter that resides on the very edge of the swamp near the plains, where they thought he would perhaps be of the most immediate and easiest to persuade to help them. You know, come slay this giant beast. The second one was a shrouded figure that carried the air of death with them somewhere to the south, and they knew very, very little other than it didn't normally venture close to them except for when the large storms ravaged through the swamps. And then lastly, being that previously mentioned Delkvir, this black dragon that has disappeared for the last 2 weeks, who seems to have potentially lost control of these lizard men and would normally fly about the swamp looking for these goblins that were not quite resisting, but evading his gaze and his ire. And it seems like you guys are pretty content on trying to find this dragon. But you're standing amongst all these goblins. How do we continue from here?
Would we be permitted to rest at your camp for a while? We would like to. Well, I would like to rest for some time if Starcaller, Sephel, Basana, if you are keen. I could use the recuperation.
Uh, I as well. I could use with a rest, and perhaps we could spend some time getting to know the swamps through your tales, perhaps.
Resting is wise, and I believe I have some magics that I could extract from the books Jimmy provided that could be helpful in the next few days.
Rotmud looks at you all and goes, "You have offered us help and you have rescued our son. Of course, you are welcome to rest here. Please, we can find you a few roles for which you can lay upon. Some of us were about to go out fishing for the coming meals, so please just rest. Do take what you need. There are some provisions over there underneath one of the lean-tos that you can use. Help yourselves."
Thank you.
So yeah, you have access to provisions if you want. You see a handful of them have now gone off fishing. Looks like they're using those same nets they had caught Starcaller and Vlad, and I think they had tried to wrap up Scylla in as well.
Yeah.
But tell me what's
okay.
going on here, guys.
We know what Spell's doing, right?
Yeah,
Raiding.
I know. I'm gonna be lame.
Fucking nerd.
I'm gonna be lame. I'm popping open Underland Magic, and I am going to get out the copying supplies that I acquired a while ago, and I'm going to start copying Locate Creature into my spellbook, so that is a 4th level spell. So it will take me a total of, I believe, 200 gold and 8 hours to copy fully.
Damn, being a wizard
So locking
sucks.
into a full rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you do that?
No,
during a
it does
rest?
not count as a rest. A long rest has to be like sleep.
Okay. All right. So at most for you, you need 12 hours because you only need like half the night technically to rest.
Well, we're doing this during the day. Like they're doing stuff, we're preparing, and then we're going to like rest.
But my point is for you to recover all of your spells. If
Oh,
you
sure.
can't do that at the same time as
We need a minimum of 12 hours.
It would be
you
12
need a minimum.
hours.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So immediately, Sephel sets to work on transcribing this new spell down into their spell book. What's going on with Starcaller and Scylla?
I think Starcaller is gonna spend like the first few hours kind of like watching the goblins as they go about like moving around in their camp and just like seeing with like the rhythms of life here and also how they move about the swamp. If after he kind of like relaxes for a bit, he will try to maybe talk to Rotmud. Yeah, so I was like mud. Or my muddy buddy about a little bit more if he knows anything more about Delkvir that might be helpful. It seems they spend a lot of time evading him, but I'll try to get to know anything that they know about like people who have encountered him, like what kind of dragon we're really dealing with. Starcaller has never, as far as I know, like encountered a dragon before. He wasn't there for the Thumbershald episodes, so this is his first like bite at the apple, and he's trying to approach it with the eye that it would be great to destroy the River King, but it'll be even better to take out a black dragon too.
Okay. Scylla, what's going on with you, just in case any of this aligns with Starcaller's mission here?
Yeah. I think Scylla will accompany Starcaller in asking these questions, and I think the reason that she does is because they're all hanging out around camp, and Scylla is like sitting like across from Starcaller, like it's almost like she's caught in her thoughts about the fact that she attacked him, and she's like watching him awkwardly of like, is he like, did I really, how could I have done that? Like it's very much like every time you look over she like looks away. But she's like, she's definitely looking and like trying to come to terms with all that she did. And then I think as she sees you talk to Rotmud, she will join you. But then after that it's the long rest.
Okay. You guys see Vasana is healing Vlad a little bit for all the wounds, the bite marks from the Hydra that they had taken. But you all end up sitting around this these fallen logs that sit around this very meager fire, to which Rotmud was kind of quietly scolding Pigmud before seeing you all approach and goes, "Now go on and assist your mother." And you see Pigmud kind of look at you all and then run off to where his mother Quilzin is weaving more of like a smaller ghillie suit, which you can see she's like trying to fit onto Pigmud. Some of the things you noticed about these goblins in general is that if they're not moving, as some are standing guard on these stilts and stuff like that around this area, it's so easy to lose sight of them. They have truly mastered the art of camouflaging themselves in this environment, and they move exceptionally quietly. Even on your trip over here on the stilts, other than the very gentle swish of water from it, you hardly heard anything. And there is always it's palpable in the air, this alertness of anything that could happen, and they are very wary about going near the water, especially the deeper waters. And you can tell that those goblins posted up on the outside are more intent on what lies in the water, potentially very closely, as things are a bit murkier, than anything out in the distance. And you see that there's like two other kids a little bit younger than Pigmud who are moving about the camp, and you see them a couple times start like chasing each other, and they happen to be getting close to the waterfront, and super quickly like everybody swarms in like a pack and grabs these kids before they even have a chance to touch the water. So that's the general air you get here. It's high alert. Nobody feels comfortable, even though they're trying their hardest to keep themselves busy, but everything that they're doing is strictly tied to survival right now. But you sit down with Rotmud here, and he turns to you and he goes, "I see that you have questions on your mind. What can I assist you with?"
Yes, friend Rotmud. What can you tell us of this Delkvir the Black? Um, your people seem adept at evading him, but what sort of beast is this?
Well, I appreciate the compliment in a sense. And he crosses his arms, his thumbs sticking up kind of tight. He's like, we weren't always so lucky to avoid him. He was a bit of a two-front battle, you see, with his lizard kin running around looking for us, eating us. We always knew if we ran into them, it was perhaps a 50-50 chance that we could bribe them to let us go, or we could be eaten. But maybe it's something closer to like a 3-3-3 repeating chance, because they could always take us back to him. But as for Delkvir himself, in the early days, we tried to approach him with some reverence as we only wish to find ourselves in an abundant place where we may thrive. And we could never come to terms. He demanded anything of gold or silver or mighty valuables we might have, and when it became clear we had none, even though he did sit upon a rather large pile, that it was to be servitude or death, to which we promised servitude, and then did our best immediately to begin hiding ourselves when that agreement was struck. They were large, quite large. I could not ascertain an age for you if I had to put a number on it, but they were certainly, I would say, perhaps close to the size of the River King. Last I saw him, but they enjoyed flying low, and the waters, while very unsafe now, they weren't always so. Occasionally, you'd have to worry about a geyser, or when he would fly low, he would cause the waters to churn and move and blow. And now, you just worry about losing a limb or dying.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. And are the stilts our best bets for moving across the liquid portions of the swamp?
It's what we found is best as to avoid the detection of the king, but also some of the crocs in these waters, or the lizard men. We try to travel at night as much as we can and stick to the shallows. See, if you can get used to the balance of the stilts, we reckon it probably harbors nothing more than like a bird, walking or dipping down for but a moment. So far, we have not lost too many with these methods. Of course, you always run into the chance of finding yourself cornered by the king himself or any of his cronies, for sure. But I would recommend it unless you have better means.
That suits us quite well. We are used to working in the dark, so that'll be perhaps a comfort for Scylla to be out of the scalding ray of the sun.
Indeed, no one should have to live in fear of the water. And we will do our best to find this Delkvir and perhaps rid the River King from the swamp entirely.
We would gladly appreciate that. It would certainly make it a bit easier to live here, perhaps. See our loved ones properly put to rest. And you see, he kind of glances over, and you see that there are these they've taken the long kind of whip-like branches of willow trees, and you can see that there's like bundles of figures there
Mm.
towards the edge of the camp. And like you can't see anything there. It's basically like mummification with vegetation.
Mm.
And he goes, it is our proper custom to put them in a small canoe while those of us come forward and surround them with their valuables and rocks till they sink to the bottom of the swamp.
That is an interesting custom. I had not heard of it before.
It is
And
our
I hope
own.
that one day you will be able to do it. If you excuse me, I think I should like to speak to Vlad.
Okay. Starcaller, what you doing?
I think that Starcaller will spend some time speaking to Vasana Because I don't. We didn't really ask her opinion, and I want to make sure she's on board with this um, new dragon hunting, dragon persuading, dragon finding adventure.
Sure. Um, Sephel, I don't know how you picture the process of like transcribing a new spell into a spell book. Clearly, it takes you 8 hours, so that's, I don't know if it's something about the runes or whatever, but a part of me almost imagines perhaps part of that length is tied up into you could be jumping in and out of conversations as you're just transcribing stuff and understanding it. So feel free to like jump in on some of these conversations. I'm not going to say you can't be a part of that when
Sure.
transcribing.
No, and I'm sure at some point, like, my take on it is it's sort of a mix between like super meticulous arithmetic because you have to get like the runes just right, but it's also to him it's almost a form of art of like getting those strokes just precise, getting the ink to sit in just the way that makes the scrawling work.
Sure.
But it's definitely something that like after probably 4 hours straight of copying, he's like, okay, I need a break. Come back
Start
to this.
stretching your fingers. It's
Yeah.
like taking the SATs. You're like, fuck,
Yup.
shaking.
It's like, all right,
getting
quick
hand.
15 and we'll come back.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, he'll probably at some point check in,
Sure.
when they're done with their conversations, he'll reconvene with the others and sort of get the lay of the information that they've gathered.
Okay. Let's go Scylla and Vlad first.
Mm.
Unless you want to wait for Starcaller to have his conversation.
No.
Okay.
Well, my immediate thought was if she sees Starcaller heading over to Vasana, isn't Vasana with Vlad? Like she's healing him?
They were healing him a little bit. It was probably like 15 minutes later that you guys have turned away from your conversation with Rotmud. Or maybe not quite that long.
Yeah.
But they are like Vasana's kind of on her own. She's checking her bags. She seems to be resting a little bit as well. And Vlad is, you can see he is seated and he's like watching the other kids play, and with your passive insight you think he like wants to go join.
Aww.
But you can see he's like fiddling with his hair where that one of his horns kind of peeks through a little bit. And he's kind of looking a little sad again.
Okay, yeah,
so
then she's
it's up
definitely going
to
to
you.
talk to him alone.
Okay. All right.
She
You
wasn't
see-
going to, but he looked all pathetic. Just kidding.
Scylla cares, I
just
guess.
kidding.
She could not give a damn.
No, Scylla will approach Vlad. Vlad, are you feeling all right?
Vlad kind of sits up a little bit, drops their hand from their hair, and goes, I'm better. Vasana was very kind to use some of their healing on me, and you can see he's like hesitant to meet your eyes.
Yes, Vasana is quite kind, isn't she? Did I attack you?
Well, something happened. Starcaller told me when you've faced some of these creatures before that your minds have been hurt by them or something like that.
Yes, I did not recognize it as such when it happened, of course, or even after. It is as though, upon seeing something so shocking, it is like your mind protects itself. And in my case, it was involuntary self defense. I had thought everyone around me was Dagon, and it was so convincing that a certain bloodlust hit me. And looking now, I feel great shame that I would scare you. And apparently, Starcaller was quite frightened as well.
Make a persuasion check.
8.
Okay. Um, he meets your eyes a little bit more, but you can still tell he's a little frightened of you.
Mm.
And but he's trying to be brave.
Mm.
He goes, yeah, no, you I think he was a little scared. You the Hydra was something, though. Thank you for taking care of that.
I wanted to tell you that before I lost my sane view of what was happening, I was prepared to get you out of the fight at all costs, Vlad. You were prone and in danger, and I felt a certain maternal instinct over you to get you out of the fray. And that is why I perhaps feel the most shame, because that instinct was immediately turned around. I would never hurt you, Vlad.
Roll another persuasion with advantage, please.
Please. 2.
Uh,
It's an 11.
okay.
I'm just not very
DC
charismatic.
was also a little bit lower. But Vlad nods their head at you and goes, "Thank you. I do appreciate that. Are you all right?"
Yes, I will be fine in time. Triton are quite resilient. We have to be. I had a question for you. I know that
Sure.
you are partially, or perhaps fully, draconic. I know you have
Yes.
this form.
It's magic of a sort that allows me
Mm,
to do this.
I see. How do you feel about meeting a black dragon?
And you can see their eyes grow a little bit wider with excitement, and they're like, "I would love the chance to meet another, but I'm not. I don't think they're of the nicer ones that Sekarak told me of, though he said
Hmm,
my predecessors weren't necessarily nice either, and that I had to be
I
better
see.
than them."
Hmm. I was worried you would be um less excited. If you are eager, then that makes me feel better.
No, it's honestly a little frightening, but considering what we just went through, I don't suppose it would be worse. Do you think?
I do not think it would be worse. I would not allow it to be worse.
Okay, then yeah, I'm excited. I would love to meet this Delkvir.
Good. I'm glad to have your support. Now, when I walked over here, you were looking kind of sad and staring in the direction of those children. Are you sad children?
Uh, not not at them. I'm just different. And you can see, like, even in this half humanoid form, like their tail kind of swings around the rock that they're sitting on, and they're like, I just worry. They said the dragon was
Hmm.
someone that had tried to hurt them, and there's these lizard men, and now the River King, and I am not wholly dissimilar. They would probably just be scared of me. So,
Hmm.
no, I'm not sad at them.
I think you do them a great disservice by assuming that they would be scared of you. these people have survived here. And I would even say in spite of their fear. Um, and I would also tell you, we are all a bit strange. Particularly myself, and she like gestures to like her like entire body. Um, and I do not think you should let it keep you from living, Vlad. I do not want you to have regrets tomorrow that you did not take time to try and make a friend. If you think of the worst case scenario, you go over there, they're scared of you, and you come back. Very unlikely.
Okay, I can try. And Vlad kind of slowly gets off their rock and kind of goes over to where the other kids are playing, and he's already even a little bit bigger than them, but you see very quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna make this a 50-50 roll. You see the kids kind of stare at him for a moment, but then are immediately like they have like a little ball made out of reeds that have been like bundled up as best as possible, and they kind of like toss it to him, and
Let's
eventually
go.
they get into a game and start kind of playing, and you can see some of the other adults in the area seem to be slightly more light-hearted for the moment for seeing that, which is
Let's
nice.
go. Let's go.
Starcaller. You approach Vasana, who's kind of tending to her bag and her own wounds. She's kind of taking a rest, but she looks up at you as you approach.
Vasana, it dawned on me a moment ago that you may not have signed up for this.
Oh, well, it's certainly not what I was expecting of my first journey to the Prime Material. But I can't say that I haven't been enjoying it to a large degree. There are all manner of dangers in the wilds, so I'm not unaccustomed to danger. This is just a different journey, something new to be learned. It's fascinating to know that there's such beasts here, or to see perhaps firsthand influences of another nature taking place. But I'm quite all right.
Good. And are you open to our gambit here to not immediately pursue our aims in the city, but instead to aid these folk?
No, I think it quite admirable, really, that the three of you would want to jump to such lengths upon just barely meeting these folks. It's an endearing quality that you all share to want to undertake something like this.
I'm glad you think so. In the war that we are fighting, the war against an ultimate and insufferable evil, its appearance anywhere is a threat to us everywhere. We must be careful to snuff it out whenever the infernal flames of the diabolical would light. Also, we might get to meet a dragon, which would be pretty cool.
It is well spoken. Black dragons, though, can be a bit testy. Not that many of the other chromatics are different. So we best have a good game plan for when we find them.
Yes, yes. Have you meted with dragons before? Do you know what sort of negotiating tactics might be successful? I have heard they like great wealth.
Let's see what she gets here. She goes, No, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting any. The closest one that I'd ever heard tale of was a friend of my father's, but I believe they were a moonstone dragon. A bit different from a black. So no, I really don't have anything other than knowing that chromatics are capricious and all sorts of nasty things. But yes, I've heard wealth. Some perhaps collect certain things. I'm not entirely certain what this one could covet most. But I think that would help us if we could find
Yes.
that.
Yes, and I have some baubles I may be willing to part with. I'm also hoping that this dragon has been inconvenienced by the River King, as I think may be the case. It is not it seems an insignificant presence here. If we could appeal to that, perhaps even if they felt that they are being challenged by this beast, we could pose a solution to that problem.
Yes, it certainly could work in our favor, making this negotiation much easier. Well said again. When do we plan to travel next? I know I could use a bit more rest, regain some of my strength, my temperament.
Friend Rotmud indicated that traveling by night was the most expedient and effective route, so perhaps when dusk settles, if it works well with our companions, that will be our time to exit the camp.
Very well, that should supply me with a good amount of time to get ready.
Aye, and I myself must rest as well, but I'm glad to
You-
have you by our side.
I'm quite happy to help. Do you require healing of different natures? Perhaps I might have something in my limited repertoire that I could help you with.
My my body will heal with a bit of rest. So no, I thank you, but I think rest is all I require.
Very well. I shall leave you to it then.
Yep. And I think unless he's interrupted, Starcaller will kind of like doze, like a little like chatting with Dawn's Edge in his mind, but mostly kind of settle in for a little bit of a nap while he kind of recuperates during this rest period.
Sure. What's going on with everybody else? Unless you guys are just kind of finding your corners and laying down for a bit.
Sephel would want to track down Scylla during his hiatus from booking.
Yeah. I think she would find you.
Oh, I was just going to come look.
How is it going, your um, learning?
It's long and tedious, but it has a particular familiar piece to it. I feel like I've been doing this for eternity.
I would offer to help, but it's not
I
my
don't.
proficiency.
You wouldn't care for it.
No.
How are you doing?
I am still quite shocked at myself that I seem to have frightened Vlad. And although I spoke to him, I'm not certain that he believed me when I told him I would never hurt him, because as far as he knows, I would. And that does not sit well with me, that I could lose my mind in such a matter.
Do you remember down in the Neverlight Grove outside of Zuchtmoy's tower.
How could I forget?
When I attacked you in Starcaller,
Hmm.
you set me in my place quickly. And just as quickly, you forgave and we moved on. Because we know what we're dealing with, and that is what we do. We've been fighting creatures outside of our comprehension for too long, and we've been fighting our minds for the same time. We know the stakes. We know what happens, but we're a team. Starcaller knows that, so does Vlad.
I think where it feels different is, and I hope you do not take offense to this, Sephel. Had it been you, I do think I would forgive myself easier. And it is not because I cherish you, it is more so because Starcaller and our relationship has been quite tense. And I do not trust him. It would take time to rebuild that trust. And so I suppose I found myself, is it possible that I was more likely to attack him in this subconscious anger? I feel that anger within me quite often, and suppose that is what bothers me.
I suppose I understand. It's almost... You're right, it would be almost better if you had taken your anger out, or your lapse in judgment out on me.
Yes, and I do not mean that because I want to hit you, but...
No, we have that understanding.
Exactly. But
I've
instead
probably
it
earned
is...
a couple knocks.
But I would never. And with Starcaller, it just feels like darkness and rage.
Like it's something that was already there, and the madness
Yes.
just drew it out.
And to know that it is there means that I have darkness inside me, which I do not like.
Congratulations, Drusilla, you're becoming human.
I do not like it.
None of us do.
That's why we aren't human.
Yes. Yeah.
It is a difficult line to walk. And
Hmm.
the times that we live in are making that line thinner and thinner. I would not, in my right mind in any better circumstances, suggest a dragon as our first possible ally.
Yes.
A younger me would call myself a fool for suggesting it, but...
I should tell you that Vlad is excited to meet the dragon.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
I worry that the dragon will covet Vlad, but perhaps there's no way to know.
I don't yet know Vlad as well as I would like to. I'm working on it, but... One thing I do know about him very well is he has a keen mind. And he's incredibly clever and tricky when he wants to be. I'm not so much worried about him.
I caught that as well.
I would not worry so much about your standing with them. Time will bring out what it needs to, and, worst case, if things don't shape up with Starcaller, we just treat it like this dragon relationship, a means to an end.
Indeed.
And worst case, we still have that timepiece if we need to get the hell out of here.
Yes.
Keep
Yes,
that
we
in
do.
mind.
Lots to consider. I will leave you to it. I do still need to get my rest.
Yes. I suppose
I'll
I
be
should finish.
Yes, if you need anything, well, let me know. I will be in that pool of water right there.
Just don't splash around too much.
Of course. And she will sink into the water. Yeah.
So you guys all settle in for a long rest here. So for the total of transcribing spells for Sephel onto that, it's going to take you about 12 hours, which puts you roughly around, I think it would be like 8 p.m., 8 or 9 p.m. when you guys decide that you perhaps feel ready to head out, unless there's anything anybody wants to do, any checks, knowledge rolls, whatever, preparations, you tell me.
I think Sephel would definitely like to do some sort of knowledge check for the purposes of just trying to recall anything about black dragons in particular, the kinds of things that might make them tick, what, aspects of their personality to perhaps capitalize on when this meeting happens.
Sure, go ahead and make that roll.
Okay. Would this be what, nature?
I will say nature or arcana, considering they're pretty magical beasts.
Okay.
They have their own section of the damn books.
Okay.
Half the reason we're here.
I'm going to, just for
You could
pure
burn
success,
knowledge.
I'm going to burn a knowledge as well.
Burn it to the fucking ground.
All right. What's a 21 get me?
All right. I will say you can ask me 3 specific questions about what you want to know here.
3 specific questions.
Mm-hmm. And they could be in whatever way you want to phrase them.
Sure.
But I just don't want to blab too much.
Sure. Okay. Put me on the spot. That's fine.
Feel free to ask your friends too. I will say you
Yeah,
guys can collaborate this.
That's a good call. I mean, yeah, what do we want to know? Like, what is the most helpful here?
I think I really want to know about like what black dragons are typically known to like hoard and collect.
Okay. Call that question 1.
Okay.
If we know their motivations, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Sure. You recall a time period in which you were actually studying way back in the day with Sekarak. One of your days in the tower that you had both kind of created, discussing their brethren, so to speak. And you remember when you were talking about black dragons one time and how similar to a deep dragon like Sekarak, they love cultural or magical or anything of great significance that came from a now lost culture or city. Anything of kind of a relic-y nature, they totally love that crap, which kind of put them at odds with deep dragons, who also very much like objects like that, but they're a little more intellectual about it versus their black cousins. These ones aren't particularly good because of the areas that they survive in, on taking anything of like cloth or wood or paper. They like things that are a little bit sturdier. The other thing you would know is they love gems. and anything gem encrusted, they are significantly more apt to want something like that as well.
Okay. Are
Next
they...
question.
How territorial are they?
You still thinking upon this this conversation you had with Sekarak, you feel that they are quite territorial, but they love using their goons, these lizard men, to spy or take care of business for them. Like they don't have qualms with going out and getting dirty, but they also have spies everywhere in their lairs or their environments, and it could be a bird, it could be a bug, it could be a regular reptile, it could be just about anybody that inhabits there. So it has eyes and ears, always watching.
Okay, that's good to know. At that point, Sephel will sort of mention offhand, we after the point of leaving, we should be careful how much we discuss our plans about conversing or perhaps bargaining with this creature. It might learn our plans ahead of time. If so, just something to be aware of.
Understood.
Very well.
Third question.
Yeah. Andrew / Artemis, anything we're missing? Anything major?
In the case that we have to seek this beast outside of its lair because the River King may have taken dominion there, perhaps. Not sure. Knowing anything about what kind of areas they like. I don't know if black dragons are one of the semi-aquatic ones or not. Like what kind of terrain might we be looking for?
What's their summer home?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the summer home like? Okay. You guys all feel good about that question?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to trick you by asking that. I'm just
No.
legitimately asking.
Let the man have it.
Okay. So or able to recall that they generally like ruinous areas within a swamp-like environment. They tend to like this one the most out of other environs. Sometimes it's jungles, but swamps are kind of the big deal. To which you were told by Rotmud that there was a ruin towards the center of the swamps that's where their kind of nest was. So anything that had been old or decrepit with water relatively close by is definitely something of interest and could potentially serve as a new home or an additional lair of the dragon. Go ahead, and anybody in the party can do this. Somebody roll me a persuasion check.
Well, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
I'm glad someone is.
Yeah, not me.
Persuasion 24.
Jeez.
Rotmud overhears your conversation and kind of comes over, and they supply you with a little more information about the journey and to signify when you are drawing closer to the lair. They tell you that about, 5 or so miles from where the Delkvir lives, the bugs started to get worse within the swamp. Mosquitoes, wasps, all sorts of nasty critters and crawlers. They would come out of the woodwork, so to speak, incredibly fast, and the air felt a little more pungent and nasty. And so he informs you, if you start noticing those signs, you're drawing close. And that the ruins that they spoke of before, they said that when they were brought there by the lizard folk, they were meant to stand on what looked like the ruinous old floor of some kind of large building of sorts that had a tower, a semi-crumbled one, and they were led to an old set of stairs at the base of this statue, down below it into a filled, swampy, watery kind of basement that was partially land and partially water, and the dragon Delkvir laid within that area. So its chamber was below and slipped into the water when their deals had come to an end. So that's what he informs you to look for, and kind of gives you an insider tip on what it looked like and where to go.
Sounds like we have a plan.
Indeed. Do we need to prepare any further, or should we move? It's getting late.
Indeed. The night has fallen, and our friend tells us that the night is the time to travel. We may have an advantage against some other surface dwellers, as we are accustomed to the dark.
I have everything that I need. Vasana, Vlad, are you ready?
They both nod their heads.
Then it is time.
Okay. So Rotmud points you in the general direction, and he actually volunteers one of their companions by the name of Rurg, R-U-R-G, Rurg, that they can guide you a decent amount of the way there, but as to potentially avoid any ire, or if things got too hairy, they were dipping, you know. And so I would like everybody at first to make athletic or acrobatics checks to get used to the stilts again.
I will be swimming.
Okay. In that case, Scylla, can you roll me a stealth check while I hear from the guys here?
Sure.
I got a 12.
12. Okay.
Critical 20 for a 25.
Nice.
Woo!
Nice. All right. So
I got an 11.
11. Okay. You all begin making your way through this swamp in the darkness, and thankfully all of you have dark vision, so it's not hard to keep up with Rurg, who leads the way for you all. Now I need Starcaller, Sephel, and Vasana to roll stealth checks as well. See how quietly you can move.
Okay, that's better. 18.
Good.
That's much worse. 11.
God damn it.
Okay. Vasana here altogether got a 16. So you guys are doing pretty well. You're going through. You're getting some pointers from Rurg in whispered tones about how to move quietly. And a couple of times they end up having to stop you, and Scylla, you kind of pull into the shallows as these crocodiles swim past you a few times. You see a couple of giant anacondas moving around as well. You can hear in the distance the like scrapping and bellowing from various creatures moving on. And about 3 hours have now passed, but you guys have made decent headway. I need everybody to roll me stealth checks again.
Uh, 21.
21, nice. Scylla,
7.
7. Sephel,
5.
okay.
Oof.
All right. I'm rolling so many natural 20s tonight. Too bad it's not in combat. Vasana is at a, let's see here.
Oh, should I be rolling for Vlad?
No, Vlad is flying.
Okay.
He's
I
good.
don't know. Maybe he's flying loud.
He's far enough above. He's learned.
I don't
his
know why
lesson
I'm
on
arguing
how
to
fight.
roll.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you want him to die? Because it seems like your streak.
wow.
Nah.
Thankfully, as a group, you managed to get by my roll of a 5 to be noticed by anything.
Woo.
So another about 4 hours pass. I need everybody to make perception checks now.
Perception.
Oh,
I'm sorry, baby.
almost a crit. 14.
14. Okay.
18.
18. Nice.
Almost a crit. 6.
Beautiful.
Natural 1, you mean?
Almost a natural 1.
Vasana got an 18 total. So Vasana kind of points it to you guys, and Sephel, you catch on very quick, and then Scylla and Starcaller, that she notices lots more dead insects everywhere, or abandoned hives kind of found in different boughs of the trees, just half broken, and you can see like the shriveled still husks of wasps and cicadas and all sorts of different creatures all around. And while there is kind of a nasty rotting stench, it's not very palpable, but you definitely know that you're now in the dragon's territory. And after now a total of 7 hours have passed, you come to this wider break in the river, or in one of the rivers, and you see in the moonlight this decrepit tower, what looks like the broken ruins of a floor and foundation with some pillars about, with this large hill kind of forming behind all of this. And Rurg kind of turns back to you all and goes, "There it is, the lair. Do you want to go across?"
I think we should continue from here, and you should return to your village or camp.
You see him swallow like really hard, and you can hear that. All right then. And he just slinks back on his stilts and disappears very quickly into the vegetation.
I'm going to cast Locate Creature.
Okay.
So, let me pull this.
That spell description.
Pull this up right here.
Tell me
Just
about it.
describe or name a creature that is familiar to you, and knowing the name, the type, like that is criteria. You sense the direction and the creature's location as long as that creature is within 1,000 feet of you. If the creature is moving, you know the direction it's moving.
Okay.
The spell can locate a specific creature known to you or the nearest creature of a specific kind, such as human or unicorn, so long as you have seen such a creature up close.
Okay. So you use this for Delkvir?
Yes, and I use his name. I specified
Gotcha.
Delkvir the Black Dragon.
This is what I imagine. It's almost like predator vision, heat vision kind of kicks in, like this totally different sight comes over you, and you can see somewhere beneath the foundation is a large cavern across the way. Like you can see through the water and into this. But instead of seeing what you would picture to be like the shape of a dragon and like the glowing essence of it. You see almost what looks like a small cloud in that space. And you know that the spell is telling you that this is Delkvir. But what you physically see in this sight does not make sense. Something isn't quite right with him.
The beast is there, but there is a chance it has been corrupted. Something is not right with this place and anything that inhabits it. We should perhaps expect something tougher than we already were.
Tougher than a black dragon, you mean?
Right. Well, worst case, we wipe one scourge from the swamp and carry on. But let's see what headway we can make.
Absolutely.
I'll lead then, and Sephel will just start marching towards the ruins.
Okay. You all make the ford across this river, which takes a little bit more effort as it's a little bit wider and swifter moving, but you all manage to make it. Now that you've been traversing so long on these stilts for hours. When you get to the other side, how do you guys proceed? There's this stone is more of like a granite, very old. You can see that there's cracks and shifting amongst the stones and the pillars and that dilapidated tower behind it all. And you do see that there's like a cave-in opening that just from your current point is just darkness.
Do we trust the building's make? Do we believe it is safe to go down?
I believe safe is a very loose term in this circumstance, but it does appear the clearest path.
If you
I
mean
will go down.
Well, if you mean structurally, it apparently holds for the dragon. I don't see why it wouldn't hold for us.
I was going to say that I would go first, but perhaps Starcaller, if you are able to do so quietly and then signal back.
Very well. And Starcaller gives like a nod, pulls up the hood of his cloak, and he will take a peek inside.
I'm
Yeah,
actually
make a
going
stealth
to...
check.
I am going to continue with you. Just because... So, locate creature is a concentration spell. So I'm going to... up to an hour. So I'm going to keep a hold on that, so we just always have a bead on its location, and if it starts moving as we are entering.
Okay then. All right. Now that you're kind of on this old floor, this old stone floor, you look down and that cloud-like substance, you still see it there. You don't think it's much bigger than you, but it seems to kind of like be moving around a space below you, kind of making these odd twists and turn in a figure eight slowly, and then it will occasionally deviate from its path and then move in a different direction. Just keeps circling and moving. Starcaller, did I make you roll a stealth check?
Not yet.
Do it.
That is a 25.
25, beautiful. You proceed forward to this tower, and as you get closer to this kind of caved-in opening, you see the ruins of old stairs as your dark vision starts to kind of really kick in these gray tones. And then you see it begins to spiral downwards, and you can hear like the light movement of water down below. Do you continue?
I do.
Okay. You start moving down these large ruined stairs, and eventually the water black kind of comes up to you. And you step in, and it feels warm, warmer than the water outside in the river, but not like a hot tub or anything. It's just mildly warm, lukewarm. And you can see in front of you there's kind of like this large hexagonal chamber. But that's all you see.
I'm gonna go out of the water. I'm gonna step back up.
Okay.
And how far back is Sephel in this?
You probably went down about 30, 35 feet. So if you went back up to the stairs and you look back at to where Sephel and the others are standing.
Well, I was
where
going
that
with
hex-
him so that I
you
could
were
keep.
going with him.
Yeah, so I
Sorry.
could keep tabs on where it was.
Gotcha. Sephel on the stairs then, with this extra sight going on that you have, or the sense, you see that glowing, moving cloud beyond the end of this hexagonal chamber. Like there's something beyond that where there's movement of Delkvir is.
Gotcha. It's further down. It's moving, but not with intention, or at least awareness of us.
It is in the water.
I can't tell that much. I can just feel it is further. Perhaps there's a chamber, or perhaps it is below, I don't know.
Very well. And as I'm gonna look back towards where we believe Delkvir is there any way forward besides into that kind of like sunken hexagonal chamber?
No, this is the only room that you could proceed forward into. But you, because you did dip your toes into the water, you don't feel like it gets deeper per se. At least not in the confines of this chamber before you.
Will, do I get the sense that the image from the spell is clouded because the creature is submerged?
Roll me an Arcana check.
Okay.
I'm gonna test your knowledge of this spell and how you would see things otherwise.
Nope, that makes sense. 23.
23. You would know from back in the day when you were casting the spell all on your own for whatever purposes you needed. It comes to you that you should be seeing the definitive outline of this creature if it's this close. So what it makes you believe is that something fundamental about the makeup of Delkvir has changed. And that no water or no physical barriers should be disrupting it in the manner that it is appearing to you.
Sure. So I am seeing what should be Delkvir, but
you know it's Delkvir.
Yeah, the criteria is Black Dragon, and something has happened that has shifted him just enough to be recognizable, but just barely.
Yeah, it's just this amorphous cloud-like movement beyond.
This does not bode well.
Andrew had such a wide-eyed look there. Any theories, my friends?
Well, we've dealt with one strange miasma-like cloud in this swamp. What if Delkvir's in a bunch of leeches?
Hmm.
How interesting.
Takes one leech beast to kill another leech beast.
What are we thinking
Oh.
here?
Conspiracy theory time.
Hmm.
Okay.
Black dragons use pawns. They subjugate those lesser than them and send them out to do their dirty work. What if the true River King / Leech Beast is Delkvir and the fucking crocodile is his right hand?
Interesting.
What if Delkvir has been corrupted by fiendish influences?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yep. That's
Oh,
there.
that's not great for us.
It's possible the whole swamp has.
Sam?
I'm at the top of the stairs, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So-
Sam's like, shut the fuck up and come get me.
I'm like, hello, ship, fish lady waiting.
So, we've established we don't know what's beyond the water. We don't know if this creature is submerged or not. We should get
No.
Scylla.
I'm describing this poorly. The water in this hexagonal space is maybe a foot deep.
Okay.
The cloud is coming from behind one of the walls.
Oh, there's like a... Sorry. I misunderstood.
Yes, sorry.
There's a solid wall. There's water on the floor, but it's not
Yes.
like a
You're
pool of
looking
water.
forward into a 6-sided hexagonal
Okay.
room with
All
a
right.
foot of water sitting in it, and behind one of those walls is the movement of the cloud.
My
apologize,
apologies.
My
Nope.
description was not apt.
Will has introduced a puzzle.
It was not one that I had planned for, but a puzzle nonetheless. This is a good voice that you made come out, Sam, so I'm going to keep that in mind for another NPC sometime.
Hell yeah.
We should retrieve Scylla. We should receive Scylla.
Yes, very well. Let's make our way back.
Scylla's right behind you, like, you took too long.
You rang.
I was awaiting your call.
Crack of thunder lights up Scylla right behind you.
Jesus.
Is all right down there?
No.
I mean, no. No, definitively no.
There should be a dragon, but he's not there, but he might be behind the wall. It's weird. Come take a look.
Sure.
It's just weird.
I was gonna say, did you say weird with a V? What the fuck?
Starcaller.
Do you
Starcaller
not?
Actually has a German accent.
Yeah, my name is Artomis Starcaller.
I mean, we were drawing the lines with subtext, but if you just want to say the quiet part out loud.
It is what the -2 intelligence character would do.
Oh, he wants to subjugate those lesser to do his bidding for him? No shit.
I want to apologize to all of our German listeners.
I don't. They know what they did.
Okay,
Right.
so Scylla will lead the group down, and I will confidently stride into the water.
Okay, you stride into the water.
It's a puddle.
splashes. Nothing happens.
This water seems dirty, but overall, can I like cup some in my hand and like sniff it?
Sure.
Is it like?
Do you want to swirl it around in your palm?
I'm just like,
Yeah, is this a lovely bouquet to you?
Mhm.
What is
this is-
survival?
you know, we never get to roll survival.
Not in a while. It's been a while.
21.
21. Wow, nice. You recognize that there is old blood and like little bits of viscera in your hand as you scoop up this water. And you can like smell it. It smells like iron, and like you hold it on in your hand for a moment and you get like this slight numbing beginning to happen in your hand, and you realize that it's slightly acidic. this water.
Yeah, she like. This water is acidic and filled with seemingly remains.
That doesn't bode
Um,
well.
the other thing you would notice, Scylla, with that high survival check, is that the far wall, you can see towards the bottom where the water kind of touches that wall, is there's what looks like roots coming from the water and somehow forming into stone, but where the water kind of like laps up against it, or should be lapping up against it, you see that it doesn't. You can see against your left and right hand walls, it like kind of, as you moved, it splashes against that and kind of wades back in. Where that far wall is, it just seems to keep going.
Sephel, I believe this is, and she will approach and put her hand on the wall. That
You put your hand there and you feel it sink into what feels like vines or tendrils of vegetation, and it pushes through, and you feel like air a few inches through.
this is not
It's
what
an
it
illusion.
seems. Indeed, I feel. Can I grab the vines and pull it out to show them?
Yeah, yeah, you do. And as you pull them back towards you, this kind of handful, you all see this illusion break, and you just see this large curtain of like roots coming down in front of you.
Well, let us investigate. Um, and Starcaller will kind of slide through the vines.
Okay. Does Starcaller go in alone, or does everybody follow
No,
him?
I'm following.
absolutely not.
Okay. You all push through this curtain of hanging roots and vine-like tendrils, and as you step in, you see this water does get a little bit deeper before it touches some earth, which builds up, and then you see coins, and you see crates, and then you see bones. And as your eyes are kind of coming up on this scene, you see the skeletal, fleshy remains of a very large or huge black dragon that looks like it was turning and snapping towards its rear half, where you then see the rest of its split body torn and half sunk into the deeper waters beyond this pile of treasure. In the midst of this treasure and these skeletal, rotten remains, you see an object. It is a scabbard from which a crossguard and handle come up into this, what was perhaps a fine-looking blade. The scabbard is green, and you can see there's holes, or maybe perhaps more accurately, sockets of where what look like perhaps gems were once inserted. And hanging in the air above the pommel of this sword, sticking from the pile, is this greenish wisp that has been roaming around until it kind of settles above the object. And you can see it seems to turn, and there's this brightness that looks at all of you. And then you see it start to grow and expand until you see the ghostly form of a black dragon. Its wisps of green kind of smoke and essence swirling about it as it kind of lays low in this form across its treasure, and goes, "Well, we have guests here." And we'll see you guys next time.
Whew. Boy, howdy, I didn't see that one coming. If you did, email us at thebadness@gmail.com so we can ask you, how'd you know that? And you can ask us, why did we do that? We have bonus actions where we answer your questions, and if you can submit them by our email address or by hopping onto our Discord, we can hang out with the lovely community that we've been gathering around us these last few years. It's been a while. We're having a great time. We're well over 100 episodes now. Come on, join us on our Discord. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the program formerly known as Twitter. Sometimes. You can also drop us a coin on our coffee page if you are so inclined. And if you like the program, recommend it to a friend. Leave us a review. Tell us what you like about it. Email Brendan what you don't. And have a lovely rest of your day. Maddie Baddies will see you next time.